All right, we are live here as the Rangers lose 6-3 to the Vancouver Canucks. Yeah, in game 39 here of the regular season. I don't know where to even start with this. I'm just beyond infuriated. I really am. And I could see it in the chat already before I even was switching the scenes. I just see that there was already 18 people that commented in the chat. So you guys are just as aggravated probably as me. And I mean, can't blame anyone. Cannot blame anyone at all. And I'm just beyond disgusted because I feel like I felt like I watched the Philadelphia Eagles put blue uniforms on, tie up some skates, and go out there with how much they were turning the puck over, just like my Eagles turned the football over. I'm feeling nothing but pain right now. The Knicks are giving me some life at least, right? But no, I in all seriousness, but this is just like I can't decide what to say. I'm truly speechless right now. I'm truly speechless. Credit to Demko. He made big saves. The Rangers did play good in the offensive zone to an extent. Here's the thing. Look at this box here. Look at this box here. Do you guys see something? Right? Let's look at the box. What do we see? What do we see? We see point that way. Trocheck, Panarin, Lafreniere, Zibanejad. What's the thing in common with the top three guys? They play on the same line. And the bottom guy, where'd he get his point? On the power play. So, yeah, I mean, it's nothing new here in terms of the second unit or the second line being the source of offense. And don't get me wrong, they got at least some chances from some of the other lines tonight. But not enough. Not enough. Not enough. I mean, the charts tell you they got no production from the other lines, and it was pretty much only the second line. I buy that too. I buy that too. Because I'm trying to understand, and this is the first night where I'm aggravated with Laviolette's coaching. This was a poor coach game by Laviolette. And I'm one that defends Laviolette. I'm one that believes still in him, and this doesn't take away or change any of those opinions. I'm very upset with how he coached this game tonight. Why? Because later on in the game at one point, he started double shifting Panarin and Lafreniere on that top line and even gave Othman a look there. Started double shifting those guys with Kreider and Zibanejad. And it was working, right? Because who would have thought that, some of your better 5v5 players playing with guys like that would work? And Blake Wheeler isn't effective. He starts doing that later on. Why? Why did it stop? You're only down by 2 goals. And you throw Blake Wheeler over the boards at the end of the third period with Kreider and Zibanejad. Okay. All right, sure. That genius. You throw Miller and Trouba out there, who were terrible tonight. Both of them, especially Keandre Miller. Tire fires tonight. And you throw both of them out there continuously against Vancouver's top line. Against the Canucks top line. It didn't make a lick of sense. It didn't. I don't know. Othman got benched. I don't know. I'm not thrilled at all. A timeout, yeah, a timeout should have been taken too at some point in the game. I'll get more of the chat later because I know you guys have a lot. Maybe we'll do some calls too if you guys are interested. This might be one where we have to. But the Rangers got an early power play to open the goal scoring. Fox put a shot on. Susie cleared the rebound, but the Rangers kept the pressure. Trocheck gave it to Mika, or it might have been Panarin that gave it to Mika, but it got back over to Trocheck, and he buried it on the open cage. What do the Rangers do? take their foot off the gas and just surrender a goal right after. Trouba caught puck watching. Miller and Trouba both go after Pettersson behind the net. And it leaves JT Miller open in the slot to score. Who would have thought? And then it was 2-1. Another turnover, this time in the neutral zone. Hughes to Lafferty. Schneider goes chasing near the boards. Gustafsson follows for whatever reason. Hoglander gets in alone and scores. No back checking from the forwards either. As much as I love the second line, they have been questionable on back checks at times, but later in the period, ended up being 3-1. Lindgren, bad turnover out of the zone. Instead of passing it to Fox for the breakout, or he could have held it to change, they go for a line change, and Miller puck watches, gets flat-footed, Besser gets behind and buries it on Igor. And you could question if Igor had a good game. I know all of the numbers are going to tell you that he was bad tonight. I know all the numbers are going to say he was bad tonight and say the Rangers had the better chances, but I'm not fooled with Money Puck's model. I know that it's more than just the high danger chances. The Rangers peppered a lot of shots on net. I mean, don't get me wrong, they still had a respectable amount of high danger chances, but still, they did allow a good amount until the third period, really, where, they showed up, couldn't end up scoring, but, they weren't really allowing much on defense because that's been the thing when they're down, but it also could be Vancouver just sitting back and trying to play defense. Not that they generate a lot of chances. I'm not saying in that third period they generate a lot, but regardless, second period, the turnovers continued. They made it 3-2. They made it interesting. Lafreniere had a good takeaway in the D zone, comes down the ice, feeds Panarin to snipe it. Then it ended up being 4-2. Trouba, bad step up, trying to throw a hit, leaving a rush chance, and then Pettersson with a shot denied. Igor's got to have that rebound. Sorry, he does. And yeah, Pettersson just tucks it behind Igor, and then it was 5-2. Bonino has a turnover of from himself. Fox flat-footed in the neutral zone, then a pass to Hoglander as he just dances on Adam Fox and scores. Then it was 5-3 in the third. There was maybe a chance. Lafreniere, nice breakout to Trocheck, who gets by the D-man and, gets fired blocker side and in. And then it didn't matter because the Rangers, they had a couple of chances, but not enough. Not enough. Their power play they got didn't get enough chances. They really didn't shoot the puck on it. Pettersson made it 6-3 with the empty netter. All I could say is changes need to be made. A change needs to be made. At least one. And I do not care. And I know people are going to say that, oh, you're overreacting. This is the first time they're losing back-to-back games in a very long time and only the second time this season, which may be true, but there's a lot of it smells funny. It really smells funny. Are we really going to be moved by that win against the Blackhawks? Are we really? Is that the win that I'm supposed to look at and be like, oh, you know what? They've only lost back-to-back now twice this season. Yeah, well, to play devil's advocate, they haven't won back-to-back games in regulation since December 3rd. So they need to make a change. Whether it's within this week or next week, something has to change. And I don't know if they're going to hang their hat on Kakko being this deadline acquisition / change to the lineup. No. Nick Bonino cannot play in the lineup. He's not good enough. Blake Wheeler just clearly, I mean, did you, like, for anyone that defends Wheeler, did you need any more proof than tonight? Did you need any more proof than tonight that he drags down the team or his line mates? What more proof do we need? What more proof? Because when Lafreniere and Panarin were getting double shifted there, it was like all of a sudden, oh, wow, we actually have chances coming from multiple lines. When is the Blake Wheeler experiment ending? And why can't it be today? Because I'm so over it with Blake Wheeler. I'm so over this experiment. He's not good enough. He's not good enough. And I don't understand why Laviolette put him back out there with the top line towards the end of the game. I can't wrap my head around that. I cannot understand why Blake Wheeler continued to get looks. Like, the team, the first line played better without him. It does not make a lick of sense. It doesn't. And then, like I said, with Miller and Trouba, I can't understand either why they were out there against the top line. Fox played one of his better games since coming back from an injury. Lindgren played a pretty solid game, too. Nope. Let's just throw Miller and Trouba out there against the Canucks top line and let them toy with them. Okay. I mean, Gustafsson was bad tonight, too. Schneider was eh. I mean, I didn't like the play that he made on the goal, but he's got to get help there. Johnny Brzezinski's been invisible, and you can see why he's an AHL player. Barclay Goodrow is something's got to change. Something has to change. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. If you don't see it, God bless your soul, and more power to you, because I can't be there. I can't get behind this. Something smells off with this, with what we're seeing out there. Something smells off with what we're seeing out there. Or something did smell off. Now we're starting to see it translate into L's, I should say. That's what I really should be saying. And I get the Canucks are a good team. I get they had some chances against Demko and he played great. That's all good and all. But you have guys in this lineup that are simply not capable of playing in the lineup. And how many more playoff teams do we need to lose to understand that Blake Wheeler can't hang around with good teams? And same with Nick Bonino, same with Barclay Goodrow. How many more good teams do the Rangers need to play before this is something that comes to a reality to the organization? When are we going to see it? Brandon Othmann had no right to be benched tonight. Sorry, there was no reason to bench him tonight. I'm disgusted with that too. When Blake Wheeler's playing as poorly as he is, when Nick Bonino continues to get thrown out there to play poorly, Barclay Goodrow, I could keep naming them over and over again. When those three guys, Johnny Brzezinski looking invisible out there, no reason to not at least try to give Brandon Othmann some minutes. There's no reason not to. And if he's not going to get minutes, send him down to Hartford. What was the point in calling him up? I'm genuinely lost right now and trying to figure it out. And I said it when he got called up. And when I saw him on the fourth line and people were like, well, he's got to get his feet wet. He's got to earn his eyes. No. The whole reason that Othmann was ever going to get called up, in my opinion, or should have got called up, in my opinion, was because you need a spark plug on your top six, or at the very least on your third line for him to play with a guy like Coley. And I know you don't really have a 3C, but to play with Will Coley and maybe get some magic there, maybe even call up Edstrom and have those three kids play together, form a new kid line, if you will. Get to have some sort of spark plug. He's not up here. Why was he brought up here to get like 10 minutes of ice time at most a game? That doesn't make sense to me. I can't get behind that at all. Cannot get behind that and cannot understand that. Why not call up Alex Belzile then? Why not call up Alex Belzile if you're just going to shelter Brandon Othmann and basically run with 11 forwards? Does not make sense. Does not make sense. How many minutes? Let's see. How many minutes did Othman getting total tonight? Let's see exactly. Let's get the exact minute total. 733. That's what he was brought up for, to get 733 of ice time. Let's just drain the kid's confidence. Yeah, that's good management right there. Good roster management, good management with your first round pick. Nothing new. Nothing new there in terms of that front, but that's a whole nother rant if I wanted to go into player development with this organization. But regardless, am I wrong here? Am I overreacting? Am I stupid? Because I don't know. I don't know how anyone could think my eyeballs are like I maybe I am every now and then, but with a night like this, if you think I'm overreacting, I mean, something must be wrong with my eyeballs then, and I must have watched a different game, and that's my bad then. That's my bad then, because I don't see it. I don't. So much reeked tonight. And again, how much longer are we going to continue to throw some of these guys out there that clearly just aren't good enough? And this falls on the man at the top in Chris Drury. This falls on Chris Drury. Heavy falls on Chris Drury. Settled way too much on some of these guys. And we gave him way too much praise for some of these guys. Thinking, oh, all right, 800K, can't hurt. Little signing bonus. Blake Wheeler put up 50 points, can't hurt. Now you see why Winnipeg bought this guy out, and you see why they're doing better without him in their lineup. So this falls on management heavy in terms of Drury, because I get that he can't control Hedl and Kakko's injuries. I know that those two are supposed to be significant impacts, but the depth. And then, even then, if you want to give Drury a pass for that because of injuries, fine. But then why is it that Patrick Kane was not a priority to bring back when he was on the free agent market? At least you get a guy that you could have on the top line right wing right now. Why was that not a thought? Or it might have been a thought, but he told him, no, we don't have the cap space. Well, you might after all with Phil Hedl, and maybe they didn't know at the time with Phil Hedl, but you might have to take the risk there at that point. But I get it. They were playing. It was a different time. It was November. It was hard to gauge what would happen, but man, oh man, do they need help? Do they need help in some capacity? Because you cannot waste this opportunity. You cannot waste this opportunity that you have in front of you. You have you have still somewhat of a cushion in the Metro with the points. You have Panarin playing his best hockey. You have Lafreniere playing his best hockey. You have Trocheck playing his best hockey. You got to get these guys help. And you got to get Kreider and Zibanejad going. This is infuriating. Those two at 5v5. Nope. I'm going to get to the chat, though. Leave a like if you haven't, even though I'm sure people are annoyed with the way that I'm talking. Subscribe if you haven't already. But, well, yeah, let's see what you guys have to say in the chat. Yeah, the turnover sucked. Create chances. In the end, got goalied, and because of several defensive lapses in combination, they lose the game. Defense is horrific. Yeah. Yeah. I agree, Robbie. They don't have players that get below the goal line. Their forecheck at times is just, it leaves a lot to be desired at points. Yeah, and like I said, like I'm not going to take away what I mean, it was mostly the second line producing the offense, and I'm not going to take away what Demko did, but the defensive lapses are just, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Like it took me till the third period to notice Keandre Miller have a good shift where he was playing with some physicality. Woo! Good work, Keandre. And then Jacob Trouba trying to throw hits, missing them. Yeah, Igor doesn't get a pass either, but the defensive lapses did suck. Called it after last game that if we were too careless with the pocket and played poor defensively, we'd get cooked. Then look what happened. I can't wait to see what the new excuse will be on Twitter. Well, yeah, that's the other funny thing too. Like Laviolette this morning, we heard a quote that I'm laughing because of the fact that after what we just witnessed tonight, you know what he said this morning? We're working on trying to be better with exiting our zone and entering the opposition zone. Good one. Good one. Comedy. Comedy. Because where was that? And then remember when we heard, like, 2 nights ago before Montreal, Keandre Miller talking about how this is the most prepared they are for games this season? Okay. All right. Sure. Sure. Stick the preparation up your ass. Tired of this. Tired of the turnovers. Tired of the defensive lapses nonstop. I've lost faith in this team. They can't play defense at all. The offense is being carried by the second line, yet people want to ignore the issues. If changes are made, they are finished. It's hard to disagree. I'm going to put the link in chat to join because I want to maybe do some callers tonight. Link is in the chat if anyone wants to call in because I want to hear the frustration. Just obviously keep it stream friendly what you say if you end up joining in on these call-ins. But yeah, we'll take some calls probably here. Let's say awful play in their own zone right now. Yeah. This team is 8-7-1 in their last 16. They have not been a top cup contender team since like the end of November. Yeah. Yeah. And I've was trying to say it and I didn't want to be right, but I kept saying it for a lot of points. They just gave themselves a huge cushion that was masking what is now coming out. The Canes will be 3 points behind tomorrow when they most likely beat the Ducks. Yeah. Yeah. We got Matt, though, here in the waiting room. I'm going to bring him in now, although I think he's getting set up, so I'll actually give him a minute. As I'm about to read his comment. So painful watch this team try to break the puck out. It's been an issue for years, and they still haven't addressed it. Yeah. 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 I'm sorry that I'm skipping ahead in the chat here. I want to just be able to get to everything here. If you feel your comment above was important at all, then yeah, I'll read it again. You're not overreacting. Evan, this team continues to go back to lazy trends all over the ice. Been holding us back for the last 4 years through 3+ coaches. Yeah. I don't know where they go from here. Don't know why Othman was benched. I am blaming Drury. Yeah, don't know why Laviolette put Wheeler back on the first line. Soft team, yeah. Yeah, PTSD. Yeah, I agree. It's not Fox's fault, but they have been poor since he's came back. Matt looks like he's ready though. We'll bring him in. I need to take this down, but what 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 do what do we say tonight? What do we have to say tonight?
Shit, garbage, embarrassing. I mean, I mean, what else? I mean, and it's the thing. We've been saying this for a solid what, 2 months, month and a half now. This
Yeah.
type of play was going to bite them in the ass, and now it's starting to finally all come together.
Yep. We said it, and all we heard is that we were negative for it, and we tried to say time and time again, it's not sustainable to win games at the rate they are with the way they're playing. And sure enough, we're seeing the result now. And the reason we expressed how we felt then wasn't because we were being negative. It's because we were genuinely concerned because we want our favorite hockey team to do good. And we knew that this type of result would happen. So, but I'm a broken record at this point saying that line. So,
And it's funny because not only does the eye test back it up, all the analysts back it up in terms of 5v5 play, defending off the rush. Everything backs up that the way this team playing, it's unsustainable for type of wins, and they're gonna get killed in the playoffs like this. I'm telling you right now, they'll be lucky to get out of the first round right now, because it's like we said earlier in the group chat. All a competent coach has to do right now is tell their shutdown line, go match up with the second line, not even completely shut it down, because you're not going to shut down Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere completely. But if you just minimize their contributions to 50%, you're winning the series, because we have no other offensive contributions from the first line and our bottom six.
that's where the changes need to come in. And, you know, are these changes going to spark Kreider and Zibanejad? Remains to be seen, but there's got to be some sort of change because you're right. And, you know, especially if they lose home ice advantage, I mean, it's going to be even tougher if the other team has the matchup, and then that just takes away the threat more of that second line that's been so effective. You might as well call them the first line because of how they've been playing, but that French toast line, whatever you want to call them right now, yeah, those teams are going to have the advantage. If home ice is huge for the Rangers this year, like this is another reason where it's like, oh, if they slip out of first, it's fine. They'll still make the playoffs. No, home ice is very important right now for this team.
And I looked it up earlier in the morning in terms of 5v5 scoring their whole lines. The first line right now has 18 5v5 goals. The second line after tonight, 31 goals. Third line, 10. Fourth line, 10. And the only reason the third and fourth line are both at 10 is because Cooley has 7 and VC has 8. Cooley and VC have more 5v5 goals this year than Mika Zibanejad. And this is supposed to be our elite number one center. You want to know who the elite number one center was? He was out there tonight at the Garden wearing a Canucks jersey and Elias Pettersson. That's what a number one elite center looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Zibanejad too, there was times where he had chances. He would just pass the puck tonight. He fanned on shots multiple times, and it's becoming infuriating. It's becoming infuriating, and yeah, I don't know. Like to get back to the 5v5 point, I texted in the group chat to you. I'll say it here. Going into tonight, at least, the Rangers had 78 5v5 goals. I mean, now it's what, 80? And the stat still doesn't really change. So they have 80 5v5 goals, and 18 of them now, since Panarin scored one of them, 18 of the 5v5 goals out of their 80 come from Panarin. That means if you filter by even strength goals on the NHL website and you want to look at this yourself, subtract 18 of those goals, which I get it, Panarin's part of the team, it is what it is, but this is just my case of what I mean with how the offense runs through Artemi Panarin so much. You take away those 18 goals, they're sitting bottom 3 in the NHL in 5v5 goals. This offense relies heavily on the play of Artemi Panarin. They die on the hill of it right now. And Lafreniere and Trocheck have been good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from them, but this is more me trying to make the point across that you're not getting the depth play and you're not getting production from the first line, which we've been preaching this point. But when you paint the numbers overall like this, it just further proves it even more that there's got to be changes. There's got to be a change here.
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, right now, there's no reason why Panarin is the favorite for the Hart, because he is literally carrying this. I mean, that whole second line is, because I'm not gonna take away from the contributions of Lafreniere or Trocheck, because again they both had a good game. More on the offensive side than the defensive side. They weren't that good, but still, this whole season they've been carrying us. And I know like Kucherov's had a great year, McKinnon's had a great year, but if it's not for Artemi Panarin, then this team is probably not in the playoff spot right now.
I wouldn't say. Actually, I mean, I might say they wouldn't be in a playoff spot. Actually, it's kind of hard to argue because you're not getting the same play from Igor. And as good as Lafreniere and Trocheck have been, at the same time, you do got to question. You got to assume that their point production would go down at least a bit without Artemi Panarin. But yeah, I mean, I can't even argue it. Actually, they wouldn't be a playoff team without Panarin. He's by definition the MVP. Like, he is by definition the MVP, and I'm just aggravated that we just talked about this ad nauseum, and here we are.
And the defense as well tonight. I mean, watching them breaking out the puck, it's like it's horrible. It's embarrassing. I even told my dad, what's worse, trying to watch the Rangers break out the puck or trying to watch the Jets convert on third down? I mean, it's bad how it's either ahead of a guy, it's either behind the guy, into somebody's skates. They either ice it. It's just, and it's like how are you supposed to create any sustained, pressure up the ice or any, constant, in terms of your transition game if you can't even complete the first pass out of your own zone?
Yeah, the transition play is taking a hit because all they do is turn the damn puck over. That's all they do. And if anyone played a friggin' drinking game for every time they turn the puck over, I don't know how you're watching the stream. I figured you'd be down for the count at this point because
you'd have alcohol poisoning at this point.
Yeah, because this is just it's just ridiculous. And I agree with you guys in chat that are saying that they need to get some of these veterans out of here. Like, we've been saying it for a while. 25 games in, we talked about how the fourth line was an issue, and people were telling us, no, stop being so negative, stop being so naive. Like, you're just wrong, you're stupid. You're not relying on them for goals. No. Because at the time, especially, this is when Jimmy Vesey was still playing on that third line. The fourth line then was Bonino, Gaudreau, and Pitlick. And those guys have still been an anchor for this team. Obviously, Pitlick hasn't been playing for a bit, but especially Bonino and Gaudreau, they've been anchors for this team. And then Blake Wheeler, too. We could talk ad nauseum about how he's an anchor. This team desperately missing Phil Pedal. They need a replacement there. And they are desperately missing Kakko. And they're desperately missing still a legitimate top right winger. And I get that Kakko could come back and play right wing for the top line, but I still don't think he's that guy that should be a top line right winger. He's better for the third line. Realistically, what the Rangers need to find a way to do this deadline is fill the 3C, fill a top line right wing spot, and get a fourth line forward. At the bare minimum, that's what they need to do for this forward group, because Kakko, I don't feel comfortable going into the playoffs with him as the top line right winger. I'd prefer for him to be on the third line. I think he's good there. Wheeler needs to go. Wheeler has to go. Find a team that is desperate for forward help at the deadline. See if you could fetch a seventh. If not, waive the guy, because there's no reason to continue to put this guy out on the ice anymore. There's no reason. And if you needed further proof, then go rewatch the game tonight because it's clear as day.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to that point, why? I know I put in a comment too, but why Laviolette decide to put him back on that first line?
Made no sense.
Especially when you were watching the game and you just saw like sure Meek and Kreider still weren't great, but they looked a lot better when either Laffy or Panarin was on that line. And then once Wheeler came back onto it, it was just nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is the angriest I've been at Laviolette's coaching through his tenure thus far. Like tonight was not good coaching from him. And I agree, Freak. This is not me saying that these additions will magically solve the defensive woes that they have. They still got to play better defense. But in terms of the offense, if they're going to continue to get in these shootout matchups, you need to, at the very least, be able to have the firepower to be in these games. Granted, it's not a sustainable way to win the playoffs, so I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you at all here. And I think that Hedl, they're going to make the decision to keep him out until the playoffs. I think at this point they're going to. They do need to shut down D-Man. I'm going to release my defenseman video list tomorrow, but it's like, even looking at the defenseman options at the deadline, it's
not great.
It's not really great. Like, I could tell you guys for free from making that list that it is very, very thin. Like, I was easily able to put together 7 targets for each of them. Then it got to defensemen, and I kind of reached 2 of the guys might not even be available, or 3 of them actually that I have on the list might not even be available. So that just tells you how thin the market's going to be. So
yeah, I don't know, like even if they wanted to make a trade tomorrow, I don't know what they would do, because you still have teams that are on the brink right now that they might not want to sell. I know, like, we've talked about Lindholm and Mangiapane plenty of times, even guys like a Hannafin or a Tanev. I think Calgary does eventually sell. I just don't know if they're going to do it right now at this moment.
No, they're not.
I mean,
there's only like 5 bona fide sellers right now if you look at the standings.
Yeah, San Jose, Chicago.
But Chicago might not even sell right now because they literally need bodies to play in their lineup at this point. So you got what? San Jose,
Anaheim, Ottawa,
and Columbus.
Buffalo's going to sell.
I mean, Buffalo will sell, but they don't really have anything.
Yeah.
2, like, they're not too far out of the race. Like, a hot week could get them back into the mix a bit. Granted, I don't think it's going to happen, but that's probably what management's thinking, where it's like, we're not going to sell now because a hot week could get us back into the playoff mix. So realistically, there's only like 4 teams willing to sell. So if you're making a change now, it's either going to be bringing back Vetrano or Tarasenko for the top line right wing, because don't got anything else.
Or Duclair from San Jose.
Or Duclair. Yeah, or Duclair, unless they are looking at like Labushkin from the blue line. If they're looking for maybe if Chikrin somehow is available from Ottawa. But and yeah, this is true too, by the way. If anyone's saying something about Laviolette losing the room, this team is very mentally weak if Laviolette has lost this room already, because how many coaches are they going to go through and lose the room on? This team already has a captain and 5-6 alternates. How much more leadership do they need? And how many more coaches do they need before one of these don't lose the room? They didn't do it with a heavy Barker and David Quinn. They didn't listen to a player's coach and Gerard Gallant. They cried for help. Now they're getting the help they need. They're getting the resources. And if any of you think they lost the room, and if that's the truth, I mean, this is deeper than just... This is deeper than we think. And like I said it going into the year, Laviolette was going to have his work cut out for him. He really does. And like this is the adversity stretch here. Like people say earlier when they were dealing with the injuries, no. This is the adversity stretch. If they overcome this, it will tell me a lot and it will maybe give me some optimism. But if Laviolette has really lost the room. We're screwed. We're screwed.
I'm I'm telling you right now, if they fall off, they'll still make the playoffs. But if they fall off drastically and just keep at this 500 pace for the rest of the year, and they get knocked out in the first round, there's going to be some serious roster changes. Not only because there will be, but there needs to be serious changes. I'm talking Kreider needs to be moved. Truba needs to look to be moved. You got to basically rebuild that whole bottom six. I know you probably can't move Mika because there was no movement clause and 8.5 million. I know the cap's will be up, but still probably his value right now is probably at an all-time low right now by his 5v5 production.
I mean, either way, he's not going to waive
Yeah.
that no move clause. And I agree. They don't need to go through a rebuild, but if it fails this year, I'm not gonna say that I'm not gonna be there yet and talk in January about them needing to completely sell things off and make drastic changes because this is the adversity stretch. But if they fail to overcome this adversity and they do face another early exit, they or if they're just going to continue to not play defense, even if they do go far in the playoffs, if they keep playing this way, a retool is needed at the very least. And yeah, this core needs to be broken up if Laviolette has lost the room because this is 3 coaches now. And what do they want? What do they want if they're going to complain about every single coach?
Yeah, like we complained a lot about Galan and Quinn, and yes, it was rightfully deserved. They deserve to get fired, but the players have to take a massive amount of responsibility. And like I said, if there's an early exit in the playoffs again, you got to make some serious changes. And even Drury might be on the hot seat at that point.
If there's an early exit, if they lose in round 1 to the Devils or the Islanders, I still believe Drury gets fired. I truly believe it because that would be back-to-back years where you blow a 2-0 lead. For all we know, it could be 3 in a row if they do it again this year. But say they don't, you lose after a questionable conference finals run. You choke a 2-0 lead. You choke a 2-0 lead in round 1 against the Devils, and then you lose to a team like the Devils or the Islanders in round 1 again. Dolan ain't gonna like that. And yeah, he did say move Kreider, but realistically, it wouldn't be the worst option because he's not tipping pucks at an effective rate. Dave Maloney was talking on the pregame about Fox not shooting enough. I think that goes into effect, and I agree with Dave Maloney. Fox needs to start being more of a shooting threat. He's just not enough. But with Chris Kreider, though, then if you utilize his cap space to go out and get legitimate right wing help, you can move Lafreniere to that left side comfortably to play with Mika Zibanejad, and then you keep Panarin and Trocheck together and you fill the right wing holes there. So like that would be the optimal decision, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Drury right now has his work cut out for him in terms of what they're going to do in terms of acquisition wise.
I wouldn't say this, Nick. Because we have to remember that it wasn't just the Tom Wilson incident that got Gordon and Davidson fired a couple seasons ago. They expected the team to make the playoffs that year, and Dolan was getting impatient for the team to start making the playoffs again. He might not like it, especially if they get embarrassed by a rival again. He's not going to like that. And in my opinion, I still believe too, the only way a retool or anything like that happens is if Drury's out, because you need someone external that has no ties to these guys, because that's why there hasn't been many changes. You kept a guy that's been through this rebuild, that's been with this organization for a long time now, almost a decade at this point. I think a decade as of next year. So you got to get someone that has no ties to these guys if there's ever going to be some sort of sale like that.
And another concerning is that's fit this narrative is it's another loss it's another blowout loss to a very good team. Happening against Carolina, and it keeps happening against the high-powered, fast, dangerous offensive teams. They try to get into these high-scoring games, and it just doesn't work. I don't know why they're not doing like what they did against LA at the Garden, where they just like sure they didn't completely sat back, but they kept a nice defensive shape, and they sprung on counterattacks, and we know they have the guys to score goals. You know, it's like what I was saying. I kind of want to see him play that Barry Trotz Islander style. Because sure, you keep a good defensive shape, you keep the game at a low score, and I trust in these guys like Panarin, like Trocheck, like Lafreniere, or Kreider or Zibanejad at this point to get those big time goals. But if they're gonna get into these high high scoring games where it's just back and forth the whole time, I do not trust this defense one bit, because we've seen Keandre's inconsistent, like again tonight, horrible. Trouba's inconsistent, horrible tonight. Sure, Lindgren was okay today, but I don't trust Lindgren at all. Gustafsson has completely fallen off a cliff since the beginning of the season. I don't know what happened to him. And again, Schneider, inconsistent.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just, play a little more defensive, sacrifice the offense just a little bit, not completely, and just play like that, because that's how you're gonna win the playoffs.
Yeah. And they were doing it early in the season, which is why we had optimism, and then it just fell off. And I got to wrap things up here, unfortunately. But last comment I'll address. Yeah. At this point, it's on the players. There's no more excuses. I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt after on their third coach. I just simply am not going to do that. But for all we know, that we can look back on the stream and look stupid. Hopefully. But it's been a problem for 2 months now. So I don't know. I don't know at this point. But something's got to change. That's all I know. But I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new, especially if you're Ranger fans. Turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live next. And I'll see you guys in the next one.